All right, let's review this completing of square method of solving quadratic equations. Like you're given this. Are you there? X squared minus 10x plus 3. Can you remember what you are expected to do? I had to write them out in steps so that you remember. Steps 1, 2, 3, and so on. Please make sure you share your screen so that we have this. Okay, can we review it? Want to remind me of what we did? Shall we?
Yeah, sir.
Let's go. Excuse me.
Yes, sir. First step is move C to the RHS.
So we move C. Let me be echoing what you're saying, re-echoing it. You move C, which of course is 3, to the other side. So plus 3 becomes minus 3. So we have x squared minus 10x equal to minus 3. That's the first step. The second step,
Substitute, what's it called? Like A, the B into
you,
different
you find half of the
minus
b.
10 over 2.
You find half of the b, that's b over 2. It's not necessarily,
Yeah.
it's just b over 2, not minus b over 2, just b over 2, which gives us minus 10 over 2, which of course is minus 5. That's step 2. Then step 3,
Then you
squared b over 2. But I don't know why we're writing it as minus b over 2. You squared b over 2, and that gives us 25. That's minus 5 squared. 25. That's step 3. What do you do?
Then you mean step 4?
Pardon? That's step 4, yes.
You mean step 4?
Yes, step 4.
Then
You add that square of b over 2 to both sides of the equation. So this first one plus 25, and then the second, the one on the left hand side plus 25, and also the one on the right hand side plus 25. Remember, this is what is on the left hand side, and this is what is on the right hand side. Each of them plus 25. Remember, 25 itself is b over 2 squared. B over 2 squared is 25. Okay. What's the next thing?
Yeah.
Step 5. You transform it to, you pick x, you pick only x, you pick whatever is that half of b, that's b over 2. So pick x, pick whatever is half of that b over 2, and raise it to power 2. It could be plus or minus depending on what is here. If it is minus that is here, it becomes a minus. Like in this case, we have written x, which is x. We've written this b over 2, which we got minus 5. So we have x and then minus 5 raised to power 2. Is that fine?
Okay.
That's it here.
Yeah.
So x minus 5 raised to power 2 equals that. Remember, minus 3 plus 25 itself is 22. Okay, what's the next step? This should be actually step 7, step 6. Take square root of both sides. Should be step 6.
Yeah. So take the square root of both sides.
And this should now be step 7. Okay. Take square root of both sides. That's take square root of this x minus 2 all squared, and also take square root of 22. Square root of x minus 2 all squared, this will cancel out. So 2 goes out. And the other one will be plus or minus that. Whenever you take a square root, you should always remember to write plus or minus. You know why?
Yeah.
I told you that. What's the square root of 9?
3.
Is it only 3? Square root of 9 is 3 or minus 3.
Yeah, plus or minus.
So plus or minus, because plus 3 times plus 3 is 9, and minus 3 times minus 3 is also 9. Okay, let's go. Just a moment. Finally, the last step. Step 7.
And then you move x minus 5 to the other side.
Yeah, we take minus 5 to the other side. We have 5 plus or minus
Plus minus
4.96. And then we do
and
the
then you do 5 plus 4.69, which gives 9.69.
or 5
5
minus.
4.69, which gives 0.13.
Okay. All right. This looks like step 8. Okay, what about if the thing is actually with a coefficient of something greater than 1? This is what I mean. Where is the question? This one. Go to page 3.
Okay.
What do you do first?
For which one?
I'm talking about page 3, this question. How do you do that?
Okay,
You start by dividing it by, divide all through by the coefficient of x squared, right? So divide all through by 2. This is divided by 2, this is divided by 2, this is divided by 2. Okay, and then after you've done that, you go through the entire process again. After that, you move constant to the other side, and then you go through all the processes. I think that's fine. I just need to also remind you of what you should do if you were asked to sketch a graph. Where did we do it? Okay, go to page 5. Can you see it? Page 5?
Yeah.
Like here you asked to sketch this graph. X squared minus 10x minus 39. That's y equal to x squared minus 10x minus 39. So you can identify what A is, what B is, what C is. I hope you understood what you just did here. X plus b over 2 all squared, then minus, open a bracket, b over 2 squared plus c. And then you just substitute. This formula is important. I think I can just circle it in red. Put it in a block to make something to come to. Okay, the reason for this is it will help you to know the turning points and the solution of the function, and I will explain. First of all, the equation is x plus b over 2 all squared, the minus, open a bracket, b over 2 squared plus c. So in this case, b is minus 10, so minus 10 over 2, which is b over 2, is minus 5. So we now have x minus 5 all squared. Then minus, it will always be minus. Please, I need you to be very careful about this. It will always be minus. Do you understand? Minus, always minus b over 2 squared. And of course plus c. You really need to remember this so that you don't mix it up. It must always be minus, open a bracket, b over 2. So b over 2 is minus 10 over 2, which gives us minus 5. And minus 5 squared is minus 25. And minus 25, sorry, minus 5 squared is 25. 25. Minus 5 squared is 25. So we now have minus 25 minus 39. That gives us minus 64. So this is now what we have. Open a bracket, x minus 5 squared minus 64. Okay, so this is the way it will look by completing of square. When you have it in this form, in the form, open a bracket, x minus a particular value, close the bracket, squared, then minus a constant, you can now tell the turning point. How do you identify the turning point?
The turning point, x is, you make x equal -5, and then y is -64.
Yeah, you make x minus 5 equals 0, so x is 5, and y is just the value of what you have here. So the turning point is when x is equal to 5.
But where did the square come?
Pardon?
What do you do with the square?
Okay,
What do you
this
do with the square?
no, this is just to help you locate the turning point. We didn't really do, it's not as if we were solving the equation. It's just to help us locate the turning point. We will still locate the root of the equation. First of all, we are asked to sketch the graph, to sketch it. To sketch it, we need to know the turning point. And to locate the turning point, after we have transformed it to this form, open a bracket, x minus 5 all squared minus 64, we just equate the one inside the bracket equals 0. So x minus 5 equals 0. That gives us x equal to 5. So the coordinate of the turning point is where x is 5 and where y is just this value. So when x is 5 and where y is minus 64. We've located that. The next thing we need to do is to find the roots. The roots are where it actually cuts the x-axis. Do you understand? So you will now solve this in this quadratic equation as if it was x squared minus 10x minus 39 equals 0. Assuming you had x squared minus 10x minus 39 equals 0, how will you solve it? I think you use the general quadratic formula, right? Are you still with me?
Yeah, I'm still there.
You use the general quadratic formula, and what did you get as the roots, which of course are the solutions? What did you get as the roots?
The roots of 3 and 13.
You got x minus 3 and x 13, which are the solutions of that quadratic equation, assuming this whole thing was equal to 0. So minus 3 and plus 13. This will be where it will cut the x-axis, because when you are asked to sketch it, you must identify where it cuts the x-axis. Is that clear? You must identify where it cuts the x-axis, you must identify the turning point, and you must identify where it cuts the y-axis. How do we know where it cuts the y-axis? The constant of the original equation. What is the constant of the original equation? Minus 39 is the intercept. You know, the intercept is where it cuts the y-axis. So the sketch must include 4 positions. The first 2 positions are the roots where it cuts the x-axis at -3 and at plus 13. So at -3 and at plus 13. That's the first one. The second position is the turning point where it turns, and you get the turning point after you have completed the square. You've gotten it in this form. You can just equate the one in bracket equals 0 and get the x value, and then pick the y value just like that. So x is 5 and y is -64. So that's the turning point. And then you identify the intercept where it cuts the y-axis. It cuts the y-axis at -39. So you also plot that. Then of course you need to know whether the graph will form a U or an N. You know that now. You know it will form a U when what happens?
It will form a U when it's like positive.
When the coefficient of x squared is positive, it will form a U. Like the coefficient of x squared here is 1, positive 1. But if the coefficient was, say, -2x or negative, it would have formed an N. Is this clear? Has it reminded you of the things you already know?
Yeah.
Okay, just take note of that. So that's basically it. I think I also gave you another one to try. X squared minus 9 on the next page. X squared minus 9x minus 10. Y equal to x squared minus 9x minus 10. We follow the same method. You know what A is, what B is, what C is. You put it into that equation. The equation is open a bracket x plus b over 2 all squared minus open a bracket b over 2 all squared, then plus c. Substitute into all of that and transform it that way. After that, you can easily get the turning point. Of course, the turning point in this case is x equal to 4.5 and y equal to -30.25. X equal to 4.5. This is x, comma y. X is 4.5 and y is -30.5. And then you find the root. You can find the root by using general quadratic formula. Of course, you can easily find the root by just solving this equation. Even the other one we did, we could have just found the root by just solving this equation. Take square root of both sides, just like we did in I don't want us to waste time on it. Just go to page 1. Was it page 1? Yeah, page 1. Page 1 when we solved it fully. From here. Are you on page 1?
Yeah.
From x, open the bracket, x minus 5 all squared equal to 22. I asked you just take square root of both sides. Then you have x minus 5 equal to plus or minus square root of 22. And you carried minus 5 to the other side and finished up. You can actually get the roots like this instead of using general quadratic formula. You can get the roots easily. That's what we could have also done in the other one we sketched. Instead of using general quadratic formula, we could have just solved it from here on page 5 and finish up. And that's the same thing you can also do here. I think that's what we eventually did here. Okay, it should serve as a good reminder, and eventually you have it plotted this way. Like I said, you must identify the roots, which are the solutions, the turning point, and the intercept on the y-axis.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Alright, thank you.